All right, so I have a really big book haul for everyone this month. I'm hoping to do a bookshelf tour next month, so I'll either have a small book haul or just skip it all together in October and focus on a bookshelf tour video that I've been kind of talking about doing for a while. So I have a lot of books this month. There's kind of three things that led to so many books. One was I picked up a really big lot of books on eBay, over 100 books, all vintage paperbacks, and they ended up being just over $1 a book, even with shipping. And if you've seen these lots before, there was a lot of books that I didn't want. There was some that were just really beat up, but there was so many good books that I found that I got in this lot. So a lot of these came from there. We also had a new used bookstore open up in our little town, which is amazing, and I found some really good books in that shop. And then there's a fellow booktuber, Chris from Liminal Spaces, and we had been chatting for a while, and we were kind of talking about having a bunch of random spare books, and we decided to do a little trade, and it worked out really good. I sent him some books, and I think he showed those off in one of his recent videos, and then this is what he sent me. So sent me A Torrent of Faces by James Blish and Norman L. Knight, and this is one of these Ace science fiction specials. I also got from him a DAW, and this is Donald A. Walheim Presents the 1972 Annual World's Best SF. And this one, I didn't have this one before, and it's just got a stellar lineup of authors in here and stories. I can show some of the table of contents here. It's just kind of stacked, and so real excited to have this one. Some really good stories in there. He also sent me The Last Castle by Jack Vance. This is an ace, and this is a kind of a really thin little, probably novella size, but yeah, it was just over 100 pages. And then I had purchased this quite a while ago. This is Ursula K. Le Guin's. It's the 3 early Hainish novels. They called it The World of Exile and Illusion, and it's just a modern tour essentials. Pretty nice and everything, but what he sent me was the book club of the 3 Hainish novels, which is the three same stories, but in this old vintage like book club edition. And I really love these old book clubs, so I'll be replacing this with this on my bookshelf. Okay, now, so I mentioned there was a new bookstore in town, and I made 2 trips there. The first time I kind of scoped it out, and I found some pretty good books, and then I went back because I looked a couple other things up. So out of 2 trips, I got The Killer Thing by Kate Wilhelm, and this is a Dell paperback, really good shape. Got Keith Laumer's The Night of Delusions, and this is one that Chris from Liminal Spaces recently read. It sort of fits this weird, strange category of science fiction that has to do with like dream machines. So I was glad I could find that one there. The Towers of Utopia by Mac Reynolds. And this one is from Bantam Books, Frederik Pohl selection. I got one of those little small Ace kind of minis, The Worlds of Robert A. Heinlein. And this one was in pretty good shape. And then the big score I found there was David R. Bunch's Moderan. And this was a book that I'd been wanting to find for quite a while. I forget where I first heard of this, and then Matt over at Bookpilled, he raved about this book. And of course, everything on eBay went to the moon to try to find this. And lo and behold, I walk into that bookstore and they had a copy sitting right on there. So I was really stoked about that. Now, this is not a book I'm going to keep, but I thought this was funny. Out of that huge lot of books that I got, over 100 books, this was in there, and it's called Starfighters by Robert E. Mills. I'm not going to keep this, but it looks like a direct Star Wars ripoff. And I looked it up. It's a trilogy. It has a lot of the same characters. I don't know how this guy did not get sued. I just thought it was kind of funny. I'm not going to keep this, but thought it'd be funny to show that one off. Okay, now let's get into some of the books here. So we got some of these like smaller format books. This one is from Pocket Books, which I haven't seen many of these. It's Bodyguard and 4 other short science fiction novels from Galaxy, edited by H.G. Gold. And Gold was a very influential editor back in the day. And here is a list of the stories that are in this little collection. And this is a pretty neat little Dell miniature book that was in that big lot. Actually, most of these that I'm going to go through all came out of that big lot. The Atom Conspiracy by Jeff Sutton. And this is one of those small format ace books. This one was in really, really good shape. Avram Davidson, Rogue Dragon. This has a little kind of tweak to it. Might be hard to see, but it's still in pretty good, clean condition. And then 2 from Andre Norton. We got Witch World. And we've got Starbound, or Starguard. All right, so now we've got a few of these I found locally. So this one came locally, Under Heaven's Bridge by Michael Bishop and Ian Watson. This is an ace science fiction book. And then Fire Flood and Other Stories by Vonda and McIntyre. This is a collection of her short stories in this pocket book Timescape edition. So excited about that. I found this locally. Maureen F. Maheu, China Mountain Zhang, I think it's pronounced. This is a little bit more of a modern book, but I've heard really good things about it, and I found this Tor paperback for $2. Then we got To Live Forever by Jack Vance. Seahorse in the Sky by Edmund Cooper. Now this is a book that Jake over at Pulp Mortem, he's read some really bad books, but he's found a couple good ones that make it into his museum, and I believe this was one of them. I've been on the lookout for it. This came in that big giant lot of books, and when I opened it up, it completely detached the cover from the pages, but I have some good glue that's intended for the purpose of using on paperbacks, and I took some care and glued it back in there, and it's like as good as new. You'd never be able to tell. And so really excited to have that one, and I'm really excited to read that one soon. Okay, we got a collection from Robert Silverberg called Alpha 9, and this one has some really good authors and stories in it. Once I saw this, I looked it up. This whole series of Alpha books is pretty impressive, so I'm kind of trying to not go overboard trying to collect everything at once, but as I see those Alpha books out there, I'm definitely going to pick those up. Another collection, this is from Berkeley. It's called Spectrum 3, edited by Kingsley Amos and Robert Conquest. And this is another one that this came in that big lot, and I didn't know much about it, but then looking at the lineup in here, I mean, there's just some great authors and some great looking stories. Then we got The Ends of Time. This is an Award Books edition. And this is another one edited by Robert Silverberg. And we've got like 4 different authors. Actually, I think we actually have more than that in here. Yeah, here's the copyright page, or the table of contents. And then a book that I really want to read soon, A. Van Vogt, The Weapon Shops of Isher. This came in that giant lot of books, so glad to have this. Another one that came in that big lot was John Brunner's The Shockwave Rider. I have quite a few of his books that are in this livery, but I didn't have this one, and this one was really clean and good shape. Okay, now we've got Keith Roberts, The Chalk Giants. This is from Berkeley. I've yet to read anything from Roberts yet. I have Pavane. That'll probably be the first book that I read from him, but that one sounds interesting. Has some really good artwork. Beyond the Black Enigma by Bart Somers. And this is from Paperback Library. This came from the big lot. Actually, all of these coming up all came out of that big lot. The next probably like 10 books. Nebula Award Stories number 2. This is from Pocket Books. And it's edited by Aldous and Harry Henderson. But it's got a really good lineup inside of here. That plus all those. And then The Cometeers by Jack Williamson. This is from Pyramid Books. Really clean shape. There was a lot of books in this lot that just weren't in good shape, but out of 100 and some books, I would say 75% of them were pretty good. And then Venus Plus X from Theodore Sturgeon. This is a book, one of the first books I reviewed on the channel, and I had like a Dell reprint, but I believe I think this, when I looked it up, this might be the first paperback edition of that one. This is one I don't know much about. It's a smaller format from Avon Books, The Diploids and Other Flights of Fantasy by Catherine McLean. And when I looked this up, this sounded pretty interesting. And it's 8 science fiction stories, all by her. Then we got an Ace Science Fiction special. This is Gertrude Friedberg, The Revolving Boy. This is not a book. I don't think I was really on the lookout for this, but it came in that lot. And if it's a Ace Science Fiction special that I don't have, I'm going ahead and collecting them for now. I believe, Richard Rempel, he went through the whole series 1, and I can't remember. I think that one might have been one of the kind of not as good ones in that series. Then we got The Bug Wars by Robert L. Asprin. Really good cover on this one. And this one is from Dell. Wasp by Eric Frank Russell. This is a Bantam Books edition here. And this is one I want to read. Once again, I think Richard over at Vintage SF talked that one up pretty good, so that sounds good. Then we got The Creature from Beyond Affinity by Henry Kuttner. And this is from Popular Library. This looks a little on the pulpy side, but Kuttner is just a really good writer. This is a really thin book too. It's like 125 pages, so might read that at some point. And then I got the Foundation Trilogy. I already had this in a more recent edition, but this is like the old Avon. I think a lot of these came in the box set, but we got Foundation, Second Foundation, and Foundation and Empire, all in really good shape from Avon. So happy to have those. I'll probably get rid of those reprints I have. And then The Gods Themselves from Asimov, and this is a Dell kind of later reprint of that book, but really good, clean shape there. Okay, now we're into the final two stacks, and we got some really good ones here. So I've been really big into Michael Bishop. He's one of these authors. I really like the way he writes. And I found this book, Blooded on Arachne. And I really love the cover art in this one. And this is a collection of short stories. And I just was like staring at this book and like, what is the story behind that? So I went ahead and I read the first story in this collection is called Blooded on Arachne. And it's a very interesting story. It's all about style and setting. There's not a lot to the plot, but that depiction of the art there perfectly represents part of the story. And I kind of fell in love with it. I love the artwork. So I searched around and ended up finding, for a pretty good deal, the original first edition hardback from Arkham House. Mostly I wanted that artwork without all the graphics and everything on there. And I'm really happy with this edition. It's in like perfect shape, has the price on the dust jacket, stated first edition on the copyright page. You know, I don't collect many hardbacks, but I made an exception with that one. So eventually I want to read the rest of those short stories by Bishop. And then I got another short story collection from Clifford D. Simic called The Best Science Fiction Stories of Clifford D. Simic. And this is from Paperback Library in really good condition here. And it's loaded with a bunch of short stories, or you know, maybe some a little bit on the novella length, because it's a pretty big book and there's only like 7 stories in there. Then I got another Ace Science Fiction special. This is And Chaos Died by Joanna Russ. That one was in really good, clean shape. So we got about 5 DAWs here. Clifford Simic, The Werewolf Principle. This is not like the first paperback edition of this book, but the DAW Simic books have some really cool artwork on them. So got that one. Then The Grand Wheel by Barrington J. Bailey. This is another from DAW. Main problem with this one, it's in good shape, but you can see the cover is a little off-centered on the spine. And then we got Friends Come in Boxes by Michael G. Coney. I've recently read 2 books by Coney. He's another author that just kind of fell in love with his writing style and want to read more from him for sure. And then Dinosaur Beach by Keith Laumer. This is one of the other books that Jake over at Pulp Mortem really enjoyed and really raved about this one. And so I found that nice DAW copy of that one. One of my favorite covers out of this lot, The Metallic Muse by Lloyd Biggle Jr. Just really love that cover. So colorful, and this book's in really good shape too, so really stoked on that one. And then another one by Lloyd Biggle Jr. We got All the Colors of Darkness. This is from Paperback Library. This came in that big lot, and the cover was kind of starting to come off. And you can see down there at the bottom, this whole section from about here down was detached. And so I glued that back on. It's looking a little bit better, but I've seen better spines for sure. All right, so that's about a stack and a half. We've got Roger Zelazny, The Dream Master. I already had a reprint of this. This is one of those Ace little miniature books. And I've read out of Zelazny's first 3 novels, I've read the first 2 now. So this is the one I'm missing that I need to go back and read. This will be the next Zelazny book that I read. And I recently just read Lord of Light and did a video with Chris from Liminal Spaces on that. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. And then we got The Planet Buyer by Cordwainer Smith. This one was part of that giant lot and it was in great shape. So this was from Pyramid Books. Really happy with that one. This is one I found locally, Immortality Inc. by Robert Sheckley. I'd passed this by a couple times in the bookstore. This is from Bantam. Yep. And I recently saw somebody talking about that, and so decided to pick that up. Ursula K. Le Guin, The Lathe of Heaven. Now this is an Avon book. This is the true first paperback printing from the US. This book is in really good shape, but when I got it, there was kind of it was torn and this section was really white. And so I took a Sharpie, I colored it in. It looks a lot better in my opinion. I don't plan on selling it. I would definitely mention that to someone if I ever decide to sell it, that I Sharpied that thing. But it's mostly for my own aesthetic. Then we got another A science fiction special, R.A. Lafferty's Passmaster. Lafferty is someone that I've only read a couple short stories, but there's been a lot of buzz about him, so would really like to check out some of his stuff soon. Okay, now there's a book, and so the next 6 books are all from Robert Silverberg or edited by him, and there's a book in here that I'd been on the lookout, but it's very expensive. But I saw someone on eBay, they listed all 6 of these books for $20, and so I picked them up. The first one is Those Who Watch, and this is from Signet, and this is a pretty old book. The Second Trip, this is another from Signet. The cover's in really good shape on this one. The spine I've seen better, but overall this book's in good shape. And then we got The Silent Invaders. This is from Ace. And then Downward to the Earth. This is a Berkeley. Hawksbill Station. This is another from Berkeley. And then the final book that was in this lot that I saw, and the reason I really wanted to buy this, was The Chains of the Sea. And this thing is in very, very good condition. If you look this up on eBay, people are asking a mint for it. And the Book Rapport did a video, a dedicated video about this, and he kind of explains why it's so sought after, why it's so expensive. And it has to do with the story that Gardner Dozois wrote called The Chains of the Sea. This just has 3 kind of novelettes or novellas in it. And it has to do with some sort of like alien conspiracy thing. I'll link his video down there and you can watch that. But pretty interesting. I am really excited to read it too. So, okay, and then I got Solaris by Stanislav Lem. This is the first US paperback, first printing from Berkeley. It's not in the best shape, but this book can go for a lot of money if it's in like really good shape. I found this for what I thought was a fair price, and I'd eventually like a better copy of it, but for now I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, we got 3 from Philip K. Dick coming up next here. The Preserving Machine. This is an Ace Science Fiction special, and it's a collection of short stories. We got The Game Players of Titan. And this is from Ace. And then Eye in the Sky, another from Ace. A couple later reprints from PKD. Okay, now we got another one of my favorite covers in this lot, Poul Anderson's Brainwave. And that is just a fantastic cover. I don't know exactly what's going on there. I loosely know what this book is about. This is very intriguing. This might be the next Pohl Anderson book I read. Still not positive though. Okay, we're down to the last stack. We're getting there. So Zena Henderson, Holding Wonder. This book I found in a little library. I did a video where I donated 44 books to all of our local little libraries. And this was the only book that I decided to keep as I was going through all those little libraries. And then I got The Best of Damon Knight. This is from Pocket Books. I found this one locally, and I was pretty excited to find this one in such good shape. And then around the same time, I found an alternative cover of the same book. This is the later printing of that book. So now I have both of those. And recently I even got the hardback edition of that one. I think that was in my last book haul. Another instance of having two versions of the same book, I got Harlan Ellison's Wonderland. And this one is pretty cool. I wish it was in better shape. This is from Paperback Library. It's got all kinds of issues with it. It's wavy. There's parts of the cover that someone used as a coaster, it seems like. But I also have this Signet edition of the same book that's in significantly better shape. So I have to make a decision on what I'm going to do there. Another great cover, The God Whale by T.J. Bass. I recently got the first book. This is like a duology. What's the name of it? It's something human. Half Past Human. And so I was on the lookout for The God Whale. That actually came in that giant lot of books. So it was just an incredible lot. I couldn't really tell. When I bought that lot, I couldn't tell the condition of a lot of them. I took the risk, and a lot of them were in a lot better shape than I thought. Almost all the next ones came out of that lot as well. I saw this in there, Dune Messiah, and I already have this Berkeley edition. But I couldn't tell from the picture. There was no close-up. And after getting it, it's in really clean, good shape. And it is the first printing of Dune Messiah from Berkeley. And the cover price of 90 cents and the code. I looked it up on ISFDB. That's usually where I go to figure out if some of these are first printings or what edition they're in. Then we got Dandelion Wine by Ray Bradbury. This is a Bantam Pathfinder edition. This one is in very, very good shape. And, you know, this book probably has been printed 1,000 times. This is the 11th printing from 1968. And just to find a book from 1968, a popular book like this that most people, you know, tore the cover off it reading and found in great shape. Also in that lot, this is probably maybe the most expensive book that came in that big lot of 100 and some books. You know, paid about an average of $1.20 each. I got The Drowned World by J.G. Ballard. And this is the first U.S. paperback edition from Berkeley. And it's in really good shape. It's got the red text block on it. Really happy with that. Ballard books are very hard to find, especially in good condition. And then The Solarians from Norman Spinrad. This was also in that lot. This is Spinrad's first book and the first printing from, I don't even think there was a hardback, so I think this is the first printing of the first Spinrad book ever from Paperback Library. Okay, the last two books we're down to here. This book I've been looking for forever, and if you can find it, it's expensive, but it's almost non-existent trying to find it. And it's Chapter House Dune, you know, by Frank Herbert. But this is a Berkeley International edition. I wanted all the Berkeley Dune books, all 6, and I could not find this one for the life of me. It's in perfect condition. I paid $50 for it because I'd been searching for so long, and the ones I found, people were asking over $100. Someone had posted this on eBay with 2 other Dune books, and they were asking like $190, and I said, hey, would you be interested in just selling me Chapter House Dune? And he said, sure. He threw out a price. I just took it. I don't know if I'll ever find that book again. If I do, I'll probably just sell it or give it to someone else who's looking for it. But finally completed that. So I have all 6 Dune books, all of them first printing Berkeley editions except for the very first one, Dune, which can be expensive if you're looking for the first Berkeley paperback edition of it. So then, in that big lot of books, I saw The Space Merchants by Frederik Pohl and C.M. Kornbluth. And I thought, oh, that's cool. You know, I have an older reprint, but I'll take this one. It's from Ballantine Books. I don't think it's the first printing. Yeah, it wasn't. I think the first printing is issued at like 35 cents. But I open it up and I see there's some writing in it and don't think much of it. And there's that. And then you go to the next page and there's this. And what it is, I'll try to read this to you. So the first bit is written by Sam Moskowitz, who, if you know him, he was a critic, I think an editor, really big back in the day. I think he was a Futurian maybe, I'm not exactly sure. So it's kind of hard to read his handwriting, but he's basically talking about making an error in the book, and then he signs it, and he says this was the second edition, it was revised. And then underneath that, Frederik Pohl, he says, what he says is so, the idiot. And then he signs Frederik Pohl. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was kind of a little piece of history packed away in that book. Wasn't expecting that. And so that's a book I'm definitely going to be keeping probably forever. So that's it. That was an enormous book haul. I'm going to load all these on the shelves. And next month, just be on the lookout for a library tour. And once again, thanks for watching.